Rahubat, divine feminine and divine masculine. I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to try to make it as efficient and as healing as I can. I'm just going to tap into a random message. I've been tapping into this Wu-Sabat cultural, so Nuwapian Sabian knowledge, and I'm going to show up as I show up and try to give the messages that need to be given while using, it sounds like a scripted performance over and over and over again. But I'm going to make it as natural as me I can. We got the Three of Swords and the Queen of Wands. Let's clarify this Three of Swords and this Queen of Wands energy. Ancestors. Okay, we got some other stuff coming up. Waiting for my go out with my family. Okay, we got the Three of Cups, the Queen of Wands, the Three of Swords, the King of Pentacles, the Sun, the Seven of Swords, the Ten of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Five of Swords, and the Hierophant. Okay, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, our master teacher. And then we have the Six of Swords. So there's a lot of swords. There's a lot of, emotion, a lot of turbulence, a lot of, tension, a lot of things that are, causing you a shift in your heart, that is causing you aches and pains, that is causing you to have to look within, that is causing you to face wounds and traumas that you have been ignoring for a while, right? And with the Three of Swords being here, these are three different ways that you could be being affected right now, right? This is the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional, right? And with that being the case, it's hard for you to operate in your Wu-Sabat cultural Nuwapian Sabian being, non-ethereal being, because you're dealing with things that, are generationally passed down, as well as things that you have, caused through ignorance, through not knowing, through uncertainty, through doubt, through fear, through, lack of patience. With the Queen of Wands being here, there's something about you stepping out of a stagnated energy, you stepping out of an old version of yourself, and you wanting to blossom and transmute and transform those old patterns, those old ways of being that keep you in this uncertainty, right? And with the Three of Cups being here, this is you coming to alignment with your higher self, your highest good, and, balancing your chakras so that you can, with the Sun card being here, move in a way, operate in a way that is clear, that is fluid, that is in your agreeable nature, and, you're purified and you're cleansed from all of those suppressions and those projections and those traumas and those curses that keep you in a frequency and operating in a way that doesn't serve your highest good, that causes you pain, destruction, chaos, and uncertainty, that causes you insecurities, that causes you fear, that causes you doubt, that causes you inaction, that causes you to self-sabotage. All of those natures, all of those programmed ways, those things that you have been influenced by. It's time to transform, right? And when I'm looking at this Sun card here, this is like a child trying to hold on to a teddy bear or blanket that they've had since a newborn, or a binky. Let's refer to it as a binky, right? You pacified yourself so long. You've done things that made you feel comfortable, that was an escape, to soothe you, to quiet your mind that is so loud and filled with, thoughts that consume you, right? And with the Sun card being here, there's an immaturity energy that could be attached to you. There could be a childish like energy that is attached to you, that is keeping you from tapping into your true divine feminine, true divine masculine energy, and that is keeping you stuck in a cycle, right? And it could be due to childhood wounds, traumas, abandonment, right? Because although we are getting older in age, although days are going on, although we have to walk in this strength and this responsibility, there is that inner child in you that is still unheard, that is still wounded, that is still desiring to be nurtured, to be accepted, to be validated, to be appreciated, to be acknowledged, right? And there's something about you coming into alignment with your highest good, your higher self, and you letting go of the things that keep you from elevating in any type of way, because it feels comfortable, because it feels familiar, because that's what you're used to, because you're afraid of what change or what success may look like for you, because you're so used to a cycle of failure, of loss and abandonment, betrayal, right? With the King of Pentacles being here, when there are signs, when there are doors that are trying to be opened so that you can step outside of your comfortability, out of your familiarity, out of what makes you drift, right? Because we're not meant to drift. We're not meant to just ignore what our soul is burning and desiring for, which is true freedom, which is true acknowledgement, which is true, alignment, right? And with the King of Pentacles being here, you are now operating in a different energy, right? Because you are becoming aware of the divinity in you, and you're becoming aware that through your choices and your actions and your decisions, and through how you spend your time, energy, and attention, is how you're going to be influenced in how, your reality is going to be shaped, right? With the Seven of Swords being here, you're no longer wanting to have to walk in this energy of always having to look over your shoulder, or always having to question or worry, right? Because when you are operating in your truth, in your authenticity, right? There's no mask, there's no facades, there's no manipulation, there's no gaslighting, there's none of that, because you're being true to yourself as well as trying to be true to others. So when you're not being met with that same energy, because a lot of people are running from themselves, a lot of people aren't happy with themselves, a lot of people can't sit with themselves. And although you're someone who isn't truly, fully, healed, and, you're still going through things in yourself that causes a lot of turmoil and frustration and anger, you're not operating in that. You're not going around affecting people. You, with the Hierophant card being here, you have this, goddess energy to you, where you're able to possess this calmness, this energy that is loud but quiet at the same time. You don't have to, insert yourself. Your energy is already felt miles away. And with this, divinity to you, although with the Six of Swords being here, you are forced to walk away. You are forced to suppress and, leave behind certain behaviors, habits, attachments, because with this Hierophant card being here, your true purpose. You know that you cannot be free without having all these attachments. So you learn to love everything and be attached to nothing. And you may come off as cold, as detached, as, backstabbing or ready to turn your back easily. But with the Ten of Swords being here, you have been through so many situations where you've been let down, where, you've literally, allowed for your vulnerability and your, desire to be loved and to be accepted and validated, to put you in a place where, it caused you a lot of pain. it caused you to feel defeated in a way where you didn't know how you were going to get up. So with that experience, with that feeling, with knowing what it feels like to be, betrayed and backstabbed and dropped like a bad habit and, belittled and abandoned and all of those emotions you've experienced, you felt, and you had to go through, right? And with the Nine of Swords being here, you went through this on your own. You're not someone who goes around trying to play victim. You're not looking for sympathy. You're looking for inner peace, right? So with that being said, you're constantly walking in this love, light, and peace energy. Although behind the scenes, you could be dealing with some really heavy emotions, right? And with the Five of Swords being here, you're dealing with things from your childhood, from your past, but you're also dealing with energies, people, places, and things that are against you, right? Want to be immersed in you, want to be, there's certain things that are going on in the matrix, in the world where, you're a source of energy for people, and people misuse your energy, the society, the government, the elites, all of that. So with that, you're constantly having to walk with this sword, which is this sword of truth and this sharpness. And it's like, it may seem like you're always on the edge and you're always ready to snap because you're not walking with those rose-colored glasses, right? You're aware and deeply aware of everything that is going on around you, right? And with that awareness, with that, sword of truth, you might cut people in a way where it makes them uncomfortable, but you were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to just go with the flow. You create disruptions. You create change. You create awakenings. You create shifts because you're somebody who is operating from a different frequency. You're not a 3D person. Although you could fit in, you can shapeshift, you can bring yourself down to a certain... Yo! There's something really different to you. And that is why you're constantly battling and constantly, going through karmic cycles because, you have this, you have this heart in you that wants to see the good and wants to see beyond, people's let me grab some of these real quick. I'm going to close it because my mom is about to be here. Gratitude. Dream. We got dream, healing, and sanctuary. So, you're someone who walks around with this gratitude energy, right? Although you've been hurt, although you have reasons to walk around bitter, resentful, and angry, you're always spreading love, light, and peace. And you're never projecting anything that you're going through. You're like this. Your aura is really bright. It's very, beautiful. You have this energy to you that is just so, you would never know that you're going through anything because your smile. Hi, Tiffany. Because of your smile, because of the way that you, hold yourself together. And a lot of people take that as your weakness because, the moment that with the healing card, healing isn't always pretty. It doesn't always look good. And at the end of the day, people have to understand that somebody who is as calm and as preserved and as, compassionate and understanding as you are, with the healing card, it took for a lot of pain, a lot of nights where you felt like giving up, and a lot of times where, you know, you've been betrayed and you felt these emotions and feelings and they weren't comfortable, right? And with the sanctuary card being here, you learn how to find peace within your experiences, within the things that you went through. And that's why you're able to bring peace. And that's why you're able to calm, you know, the chaos within people, because you had to learn how to do it for yourself. And you're not going around, you know, playing victim or looking for sympathy, right? Because that's the last thing that you want, right? And the energy that you carry, you know, it's natural, right? It's natural for you to want to pour into others. It's natural for you to uplift people. It's natural for you to nurture, and that's just in your nature, right? So with the sanctuary card being here, you know, a lot of times we fear being alone, or we fear, you know, our sitting in our own energy, but forgetting that we are the healers. We are the source of energy, right? So when you're trying to look outside of yourself, when you're trying to, you know, place expectations on others, or you're trying to, you know, or you become, you know, codependent on others, you got to understand that you are the source of your own energy, your own power, your own happiness, and all of that. And people tend to make us forget that in situations because, you know, a lot of things are one-sided, right? With the dream card being here, you know, with the dream card being here, you know, most of the time, reciprocation, loyalty, commitment, and, you know, real cultural understanding. It seems like a dream. It seems like it's far-fetched. It seems like, you know, it only can happen in your dreams when, you know, you're in a different space, right? So we have to learn how to bring ourselves to that and, you know, acquire that now without the, you know, material form, physical form, materializing. You have to feel that within yourself. 8:44 on the clock. So anyways, I hope everybody has a good night. It's family night. It's Friday. And yeah, this is my Wu-Sabat family, cultural Nuwapian Syrian. A lot of people may not know what me are talking about, but eventually, you know, people will understand. So till then, bye.